Hey folks, MCU's Bleeding Edge report in the house Monday evening, 1/6/2025. This will be the last night that I guess I'm going to say Happy New Year to everybody. But I'm here, Jeff S.A.K., TrueKnowledge, co-host with Cyberneticshark. What's up, Cyber? Good to see you, brother.
Hello.
We got get some actual guests on this week. Some old faces that have been on with us many times before. Kyle from FPN Network. Kyle, it's good to see you, brother. Thanks for coming on.
Oh, it's an episode. I just got to ask, what if I didn't do this podcast? What would have happened?
It wouldn't be as good, sir. We would rather you be with us than be without us, I would say. Johnny Fuent is back with us from Fuent Chat with Johnny Fuent, among others. What's up, Johnny?
Doing well. Enjoying the new year, trying to survive the snow.
So we're here to talk about What If Season 3, specifically Episodes 3 and 4. What if the Red Guardian stopped the Winter Soldier? And what if Howard the Duck got hitched? Definitely a surprise one for me today. I was very shocked when that episode popped up as my fourth one. I'll ask you guys for your general thoughts, I guess, since this is, the midway point, basically, even though they've already dropped all the episodes for us, review-wise, we're going into episode 4 here by the end. Kind of, I guess, Kyle, you've been on reviews with us, doing What If all the way back to the first season, if I remember correctly. So, where are you at with What If at this point, with season 3 kind of, 4 episodes in comparison to the other seasons, I guess?
I think with this season, because they knew it was the last, I don't even think they knew for sure that they were going to get this season. And I think what Marvel has done with this particular season of What If is because they didn't really have necessarily a full plan. They've kind of punted with it a little bit, and they've gone with like some classic things that What If would do in the comics back in the day. They're having more comedy episodes. They're having more really out there episodes, just like What If would have some really crazy issues a few times a year. Like what if Fred Hembeck had destroyed the Marvel universe? What if something with Howard the Duck or some crazy Conan story or something like that? And that's kind of what that feels like they're doing here. And I would say for right now, if you're going for the first 4 episodes, it's maybe about batting 500 for me. I thought the first episode was watchable. The second episode, while I am a Catherine Hahn fan and think she's wonderful as Agatha, that was a little out there. And then the third episode, which I know we're talking about tonight, probably my favorite episode up through these first 4 with the Red Guardian and the Winter Soldier. And then the Howard the Duck episode, I knew it was going to be silly, but it was way out there. They were on the good stuff over at What If when they made that episode.
Okay. So I guess the same question to you, Johnny Fuent, kind of where you at, going through the different seasons, kind of where are you at with What If now, through episode 4?
Honestly, I think I'm going to agree. I feel like they didn't know that they were going to get this season. And the fact that it just feels like they were either half-assing it or just trying to come up with some ideas that would fit through this entire season. Because before, when we got season 1, season 2, everything felt a little more connected. Like they knew exactly what they wanted with a bigger plan. When it came to season 3, it just really didn't feel like that. Especially the Catherine Hahn episode, I thought it was okay, but I felt like they were really limiting themselves. I'm going to be honest, I was not a fan of the Winter Soldier Red Guardian episode. It just felt, Red Guardian was just annoying. It just really felt like they were trying to force something with them. And the whole fact that Winter Soldier was automatically getting out of his own programming, it just felt off. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I thought the Howard the Duck one was something that truly was a What If episode, like something like from the 60s, something that was probably made crazy enough. They were like, screw it, we're just gonna go with whatever we want to do, not holding back. And I mean, honestly, that's what I thought they did.
Okay, that's a fair assessment. What do you think, Cyber?
What was the question again?
Just what are your thoughts in comparison, I guess, or in contrast to the first two seasons of What If? What If season 1, What If season 2? We reviewed all those seasons. What are you're reflecting on What If through episodes 1 through 4? What are your thoughts in comparison to the first two seasons?
So as we have reviewed these, we, of course, the first season we thought was pretty decent. The second season we thought really tanked. And then we got to this one, and I feel it started off very strong with the first episode. Then it kind of bowed out with the second episode with the Agatha one. And then now coming into these two episodes, I thought it was the same kind of strategy. It was a strong first episode, and the second episode it had great elements, but I don't think it delivered as well as it could have. I think that, unfortunately, you have all those great characters that's fun to see and all, but the whole like Darcy and Howard having a duck egg as their child kind of cracked me up a little bit. I was like, what the hell? Like, did that come out of her vagina? Like, what the fuck? How did that even work? Like, that made no sense. But anyways, so, I think in contrast, to the first two seasons, I think that at least in the first two seasons, they were pretty equal how it started off. They started off strong and they kind of went downhill and then it got strong again. Whereas the second season, unfortunately, was kind of just mid-section the whole season. It was just like, if somebody was flatlining basically that whole season. There was like a couple good episodes, but the majority of them were just kind of like, eh. So I think like how this one is working out is it's good, bad is kind of how it's been so far compared to the other two seasons, which I think is kind of funny, with them trying to end this, because if you remember, they said that they had actually did all this animation all together. So all these episodes, these 3 seasons were all done at the same time. So the animation was pretty much already done. They just kind of finished it up and stuff like that when they put it out. And even the voice recordings, a lot of them was done prior to the first season dropping. So, I think what happened too is just like what, Johnny Flint was saying, is that they weren't even sure if they were going to put out 3 seasons, because they originally were supposed to do, the first season was supposed to be like 20 episodes. So I think that, how they cut it up, they probably realized, well, the season did okay the first season, the second season really tanked. So, I guess we really don't care what we put out for this last season, just to get them out there and that it's done with. Kind of like what they did with, a few other shows that they put out in the recent years, just to get it out, so that it's out there and it's, been used. So I feel that's kind of what's happening with this season, because like I said, it starts off really good. And then the next episode is kind of like, what happened? Like it went, ew. So that's kind of my thought process on it.
And I'm sorry, Kyle, let me go back to you real quick. I didn't really phrase that question the same way to you. Did you have anything you wanted to add in terms of the other 2 seasons?
I think the first season was done very well. I think the second season was a little bit up and down, because I think they were trying to go for like this throughout the season storyline, and I don't think the payoff on it really met what they were trying to establish. It really kind of feels like, and I know Cyrus said about them doing all these episodes at once, it really feels like, okay, this was the leftover. We weren't sure if we wanted to even put these out or not. And sure enough, that's what they decided to do. And that's why these feel so disconjointed until you get to the final 2 episodes of the season. But I think this is just kind of like the leftover pieces of What If. Maybe they thought they would be fun to include in other seasons. They decided for whatever time constraints or whatever not to do them. And they had them. They didn't want to lose the money on them. Let's get them out there. Go from there.
Same thing to you, Johnny. I changed that question up a little bit on Cyber. Did you have anything you wanted to add on season 1 and season 2?
I mean, nothing really to what more I said. It just felt like they came out swinging with season 1. I mean, we had some really good episodes, especially the zombie one, which is getting its own spin-off. Sadly, Zeb Wells is writing that one. But anyway, just honestly really good stuff. And then season 2, and just, I don't know. I honestly, at this point, people were just asking themselves, who are they writing this for? Especially the last 2 episodes. I agree with Kyle. It's like, really? This is what we've been leading up to?
Yeah, I mean, for my own part, I'll say that I would mirror much of what you guys have already said. In that, I remember enjoying quite a bit of season 1. A lot of strong episodes. Looking back, all the Doctor Strange stuff that they had was pretty strong. Ultron, bringing Ultron back, I thought was really great there at the end. And the Watcher putting together, the team there, to take on Ultron at the end of the first season was pretty strong. Season 2 was a real drop off, I felt like, but at least it did have some cohesion to it, it had some consistency to it, but it was a little bit overloaded with certain characters, I felt like. I guess, maybe I know they shot all this in the same time period, but I guess maybe the theme's going to be in this season 3 that we're really only going to be seeing more of the characters that fit more into the phase 4 and phase 5 mold, I guess. I'm not really sure since I haven't watched all the way ahead yet. But we're seeing, Bucky, the Red Guardian more than once already, twice now, the Red Guardian. They did bring back what's his name from Ant-Man 2. What is that character's name?
Oh, you talk about the guy who plays the giant, Lauren Fishburne's character?
Yeah. They brought him. Yeah, they brought him back for episode 3. I thought that was interesting. That was a nice throwback. I thought that they brought him back to Bill Foster.
Foster.
To head Shield. So, all right. So let's get into episode 3 of What If the Red Guardian stopped the Winter Soldier. In 1991, Alexei Shostakov and Bucky Barnes were sent to recover a case of super soldier serum from Howard and Maria Stark. Shostakov prevents Barnes from killing the Starks, and they only acquire 1 vial of the serum. With no extraction, the duo tracks a spy called the Rook to Las Vegas for transportation while evading the authorities and Bill Foster. So I'll stop there. I'll go to you, Cyber. What are your thoughts on the stronger, in my opinion, of the 2 episodes, episode 3? What are your thoughts on that section of the episode?
The episode starts off strong. I really enjoyed this one. I think that David Harbour as the Red Guardian is freaking hilarious as hell. I love the humor. I love that they went heavy humor in this episode. And I mean, to start off, the episode is just super funny. Him dealing with Bucky. And, I think, the fact that they have it where it's supposed to be back during when Bucky was first, became the Winter Soldier after, he got, dropped from the train and Captain America, won and got his, cybernetic arm and everything. I think that it was kind of a great idea having it like that and having, when the Guardian was kind of more in better physical shape. And, I think David Harbour brings a great kind of humor to the character, and that accent, that Russian accent is absolutely like on point, I think. And so just everything he says, it just makes me like crack up because he's just so good at saying exactly what's right to be funny. And that's kind of how it starts off with this episode, with him encountering Bucky and stopping him from doing what he's gonna do. And I just think that the animation was pretty decent here, and I think overall it was a definitely a decent portion of the episode that gets funnier down the road. So I think it's a good start to the episode.
Okay, Johnny, what are your thoughts, or what do you think of the premise of this What If?
I thought the premise was interesting, and I thought it was like, okay, that makes sense. These 2 were around back then, and they would have some type of interaction, you would hope. But as soon as we got to the episode, some of the things I kept thinking to myself, especially when it comes to the humor, I felt like they were leaning a little too much into the humor of Red Guardian, especially considering he's supposed to be like Russia's super soldier or answer to it. And then I guess the one thing that kept bothering me was his whole no kill thing. I felt like that was extremely off, especially considering who he was. And in the Black Widow movie, he had no qualms about killing it either. So I kind of felt like they were like miswriting this character at times.
Okay, I think that's fair. Me personally, I didn't care for. I like Red Guardian. I think his humor is pretty solid, and it does work well on screen, especially in Black Widow. But I think that they went a little bit too farcical with him, with Bucky. I would agree with you on that. What do you think, Kyle? What are your thoughts on that introductory part of the episode?
I think if you have David Harbour, you let David Harbour cook, and that's exactly what they did in this episode. Is they let David Harbour go and have some fun, take it a little over the top. Again, with what they're trying to do, I think with these episodes of What If, it works, and Sebastian Stan plays off of him so well, and to have it be what if it's him stopping it because he's trying to still prove he's in a way he's the best Russian, the purest Russian representation of a super soldier, and in his own ideas, it's that's where the non-killing comes from at this point of the character of the Red Guardian, because he's still trying to be the stand-up for Russian children and all of these things. He's still trying to be kind of the Russian Captain America in a way. So I think it does work with that. You add in just again the dynamic of the Winter Soldier, this very big turning point within the MCU as a what if of where he fails to kill the Starks, and then I love the aspect of it. I never fail a mission, and just the contrast that they establish early on between the Winter Soldier and the Red Guardian. I think it's what makes it work, and it's kind of like that perfect strangers odd couple aspect of it, and I think they really played it well.
Yeah, it's tough to know who to pair with the Winter Soldier from the Winter Soldier time period, and one thing that, from a nostalgia standpoint, that I'll say that I did enjoy is that I always like to see Bucky as the Winter Soldier. Like in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I really enjoyed the brief flashbacks we got of him as the Winter Soldier in that series. I relished seeing him in that his form as the Winter Soldier. So it was interesting, for them to bring that back. Into What If, I thought, even though they really kind of softened the character quite a bit, I think for to fit the themes of the episode. Okay, so basically, from where we left off, I mentioned the spy called the Rook that they went to Las Vegas for transportation while evading the authorities, and Giant Man, Bill Foster. Dreykov secretly orders Barnes to kill Shostakov, who has become a liability. It turns out when Shostakov and Barnes discover that the Rook is actually, I didn't realize this in the episode, but is Obadiah Stane, who provided the Russians with information about the serum in order to eliminate the Starks from the market. Stane attacks the duo, but is killed by Barnes. As the authorities and a task force sent by the Red Room swarm the area, Barnes buys Shostakov, who destroys the last vial of the serum, time to escape. So I'll stop there before we get to the last ending part of the episode. And I'll go back to you, Johnny. What did you think, Johnny, of that sort of I guess that center part or that second, third of the episode?
I honestly thought that using Obadiah Stane as the Rook, I actually loved that. I thought that was kind of brilliant because it was a twist that I didn't think of or see coming. So I honestly liked that. I loved how Bucky, especially looking at everything that's happening, everything he got to that point, especially looking at Red Guardian, just letting him know you're a good man. And everything else, and just seeing it pay off. The second part, I definitely love.
Okay, so that was an enjoyable part of the section of the episode for you.
Oh yeah, the nice twist was really nice.
Kyle, What'd you think, sir?
I thoroughly enjoyed it, from getting that little Thelma and Louise kind of tribute that they put in with the two of them in that car, the chase down with Bill Foster chasing them as his version of Giant Man. I think absolutely brilliant move to use Obadiah Stane as the Rook, especially since you're tying it in with the Stark history and things like that. And just again, it comes down to it's the interactions between the Red Guardian and the Winter Soldier. They just play off of each other so incredibly well, and yet, and how they play it up with the Red Guardian kind of getting through the programming of the Winter Soldier a little bit, and in a way, kind of bringing him out of it just because of his own over the topness in this aspect of it, and helping Bucky refine a little bit of his humanity with like the Cole Coney Island thing and everything like that. It just played off very well. And again, it's credit to the Harbor and Sebastian Stan both agreeing to come in and be the return to these characters, even in voice acting to them, because I don't know if you necessarily get that if you have a different voice actor for this character. And that's one thing What If has done very well, is through all of its seasons, is getting these original actors back for the most part to voice their characters. And I think that's one of the stronger parts of What If.
Yeah, they've managed to squeeze Bucky into other What If episodes before in the past too, a couple times, so he's been there, this isn't the first time, and of course he was in episode 1, but what'd you think, Cyber?
So, I mean, the middle section really kind of gives you, quite a bit of fun. It gives you the twist, like Fuentes has mentioned, and it gives you that kind of Thelma Louise, as Kyle mentioned. And, we get kind of a lot of great kind of action sequences here in this section that lead them to kind of the ultimate culmination of the episode. And the one thing I liked too was, as Kyle mentioned, the whole Obadiah thing. I thought that was really interesting. All of a sudden, seeing Obadiah there again, and I was just like, ooh, that's interesting. But they couldn't even get Jeff Bridges to return the voice of the character, and I was like, oh, that's too bad, because he didn't sound anything like Obadiah, I felt. And but still, I think it was fun seeing that character again, because he was such a great character in the first Iron Man. Kind of sucked that they killed him off, in that one episode, especially when he was a very interesting character in, the comic books, and one of Iron Man's kind of arch nemesis. What the hell was that?
Those are my sneakers squeaking against each other.
Okay. Anywho. So I think it's a decent section of the episode. Like I said, there's some great action sequences. Like I said, every time David Harbour voices the Red Guardian or plays the Red Guardian, it's spot on and fantastic. And there's some really great moments in kind of this section where he is just such a ham, and it's absolutely hilarious, and just brings out just how good of a job David Harbour does. And, him kind of wanted to be in the spotlight, as everyone's kind of mentioned how he's tried to be Mother Russia, and he's tried to be kind of like the Russian Captain America. And so it's kind of like, he wants to be like in the forefront. He wants to be the main guy. And we get a lot of those great kind of little like slips of his in his talking, kind of showing that he's really all about himself, but he's trying to make it look like he cares about other things, but it's all about him being forefront and center. And I just absolutely love that, because it's on point for Red Guardian. And as we saw him, in Black Widow, our first outing of him in live action form, we could see that, like, he was all about impressing everyone, and we get to see that a really strong, imprint in this episode, along with this middle section of the episode. We really get to see it there. Hence, kind of, in the Thelma Louise scene, I feel like he's trying to be the forefront there and kind of pushing Bucky back as they're doing it. So I think that it's a decent section that is very entertaining and does a good job of giving us a really decent midsection that is just entertaining.
Did anybody care for or like the addition of Bill Foster as Giant Man in the episode? Anybody? Did it do
I
anything
loved
for
it.
you?
I thought it was great. It worked out perfectly with the timing, and I think it gives you something interesting with Bill Foster, who I think can be an interesting character. And I thought they played it pretty well for what they made him in this episode.
That was fun.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that. Love that Lawrence Fishburne came back to voice him again.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Johnny? Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I feel like Bill Foster will be playing a bigger part in the MCU, especially with Thunderbolts coming around, and him having a bigger role with Ghost.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Have they announced that him being attached to that film?
Not as of yet, but it wouldn't surprise me if he at least doesn't make a cameo in it.
Yeah, I mean, you would think that for the overall, cinematic connection, of wanting to, have the characters jump from the different properties, you know what I mean, and kind of intertwine, it would make sense for him to pop up with Ghost. You're right. I'd like to see him back in the MCU. I guess we'll have to see what happens this year when the Thunderbolts comes out. They're going to have a lot of characters to find screen time for, Kyle, in that film. But there's always room for good secondary characters too, right? So,
well, I'll be honest with you. Thunderbolts might be the Marvel project outside of Daredevil I'm most excited about this year.
and you know what? I'm sure you're probably not the only person out there that feels that way. I think that if I had to go around and ask everybody right now, what out of the 3 MCU films that are coming out this year in 2025 is the one that you're the most concerned about right now? Johnny, what would your number 1 be? You're most concerned about of the 3?
Wait, what's the third film?
Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four, and Captain America 4.
Oh, that's right. Fantastic. Honestly, Captain America is the one I'm kind of most worried about, just because there have been so many reshoots that they've been doing, and the fact that you have Captain America facing 2 Hulk villains, especially the leader. I hope they do it well. They have a lot of potential, but that's the one I'm most worried about.
Okay, that's fair. Cyber, what about you, sir? What is the property that you're the most concerned about?
Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four is the one I'm worried about, because simply the fact that I think that it's not the greatest casting I felt. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Pedro Pascal. I love him in The Mandalorian. I like him in other things, but I don't see him as Mr. Fantastic. The blonde that's playing, Sue Storm.
Vanessa Kirby.
Yeah, Vanessa Kirby. She's fantastic in what I've seen her in. I really don't have any qualms with her. Joseph Quinn is the Human Torch. No problems there. The other guy that's playing the Thing, I'm not too
Evan
sure
Moss.
about him yet. Yeah, I haven't seen him in too much stuff, so I'm not sure. But
That's
the fact that
that's the guy from
The Bear.
The Bear, yeah.
Yeah,
Really good
he's
actor.
going to make a fantastic Ben Grimm.
Oh yeah, definitely. If you ever get a chance, watch The Bear, and that will definitely clear any worries you have him about Ben Grimm.
But I'm more interested in seeing what the Thing looks like is my biggest concern, because I thought how they did the Thing in the 2 before the 2015 one was done well, but the one in 2015 looked horrible, fully CGI. So from my understanding, they're supposed to have done a full costume for this character in this one. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. But yeah, I'm most worried about that because I really enjoyed those other 2 from the early 2000s. They were good. I thought they were fantastic, and I loved what they decided to go with, who they decided to go with. I thought, Michael Chiklis was a great Ben Grimm. I thought Ian Grufford was perfect as Mr. Fantastic. Jessica Alba, Chris Evans as Human Torch, loved him as that, even though he's great as, Cap, he was a good Human Torch as well. But I have a lot of worries about it, especially because they're making it back in the 60s as well. and going for that more of an era and stuff like that. It just, there's a lot of things that could go wrong. And Captain America: Brave New World is what it is. I have a feeling that movie is not going to do the best, just for the fact that how many reshoots and how everyone feels about it. So I don't have any qualms with that film. I'm going to enjoy it for what it is. Same thing with Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts I have no concerns about because it's got a great cast and I know it's going to be good. Just for the fact I love David Harbour. I think he's going to be the star of the show. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what Bill Pullman's son, I can't remember his name right now, Lewis Pullman, does as Sentry. But after that, I think everyone else is great as their characters. It's gonna be fun to see where they've come around to, seeing how they changed from their previous outings in live action MCU. But yeah, Fantastic Four is the one I'm most concerned with.
Okay, lastly to you, Kyle, what is the one of the three properties that you're the most concerned about going into 2025?
It's Fantastic Four because, much like Cyber said, I love Pedro Pascal, but he's not Reed Richards. And I think, too, going with the 60s motif that they're going with, and even though they're supposed to be on a different, they're playing the multiverse angle with this, because you're going to get the rumor is you're going to get a female Silver Surfer, which is not, it's going to be Shala Ball instead of Norrin Rad.
Yeah.
I think you're asking the Marvel fans to say, okay, you're making this movie, you're going to do things different, but we're going to forgive you because it's actually not the true Fantastic Four universe. So the question is, I think the biggest question is this the true rendition of the Fantastic Four we're eventually going to see as the MCU Fantastic Four? Or is it between this movie, Doomsday, and Secret Wars, where we see a different actor come in to play Reed Richards? Will we see some different other changes happening? I think.
Well, Kyle, I don't mean to cut you off, but just briefly, I mean, you know how Marvel likes to do this kind of stuff. I'm sure they assembled this team to play the Fantastic Four across the span of the MCU. Wouldn't you agree, based off of how they've always hired in the past when it comes to locking actors down and all that? Don't you think they've already basically told these actors that they hired that, hey, like, we're asking you to sign up for, like, for 3 or 4 or 5 properties or whatever, or 5 films or whatever? They're still doing that shit, man.
They're already locked into 3 films because they're going to be in Doomsday and they're going to be in Secret Wars.
That's what I'm saying. I don't believe that. I don't believe that they've stopped doing those long-term contracts.
Oh, I think not to the extent like they did with Sebastian Stan or even Evans, but I just think the MCU is kind of still in a bit of a state of flux until we get past Secret Wars, and then we really see what happens. Because I mean, the truth of the matter is that if you believe everything that's out there, after Secret Wars happens, we are going to be looking at entering the realm of X big time in MCU films. So it'll be interesting to see what plays out. But I just think they're going to be asking for some big stretches in Fantastic Four, and they might be isolating some aspects of the fandom with that. And so it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I think it's the one with the most risk. But if they can pull off a great Fantastic Four, it's going to set people up to feeling really good about what's coming for the MCU. With Captain America, I'm excited for it. I don't get me wrong. I'm excited for Anthony Mackie to finally get his shot to carry the ball himself, per se. I think it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. I've heard some amazing things about the reshoots and what they've done to change the story and how much better the movie is going to be. I just think for me, I'm most excited about Thunderbolts because of that cast. And I think the Thunderbolts have this iteration of the Thunderbolts has everything with it to become the new version of the Misfits that the Guardians of the Galaxy were in the early phases of the MCU.
Yeah, I think the Thunderbolts will have the least expectations out of all 3 films from the fandom. You know what I'm saying? So really, at that point, the bar is going to be low to the point where we already all agree it's going to probably be a solid film. If they take it above that notch and they take it to where it's a really great film, like a Captain America Civil War type film or something like that, that could be, the Thunderbolts could honestly end up being the third best MCU film that comes the best of the 3 that comes out in 2025. but I'm the most concerned about the Fantastic Four as well, mirroring, you other gentlemen. I think it's tough to do the Fantastic Four cinematically. I think it's tough to do. I just really do. The team, it's that you really have to sell the team to people, we'll see what happens, but that's the one that I'm the most concerned about because I think it's, we'll see what comes out of it. I want to be optimistic overall. I think, like you guys already said, with Captain America 4, we already pretty much know what we're going to get. So, I mean, what is there really to be concerned about at this point? I mean, I'm not, I'm sure it'll end up being a solid film. But all right, let's wrap up this last episode of episode 3 of What If so we can get into my favorite one, Howard the Duck What If, my favorite. Okay, so where we ended off with was basically the end of episode 3, which was, Barnes buying Shostakov, the Red Guardian, time, after he destroys the last vial of the serum, where he then escapes. When they jump out together, he escapes. Sometime later, Barnes is taken back to Hydra's base in Siberia, where he insists to Dreykov that Shostakov is dead. That wasn't Dreykov's from Black Widow. That was somebody else's voice, I thought. Different voice actor. Meanwhile, Foster approaches Shostakov and offers him a chance to help the United States once again. 21 years later, Shostakov is like, a gym teacher or whatever. And Shostakov is seen fighting alongside the Avengers in the Battle of New York. So that was the end of the episode. Kyle, what are your thoughts on the end of episode 3?
It's fitting, and it's what if. I mean, you get Red Guardian getting his dream. He's there with all the big heroes in the Avengers, representing Russia in his own fashion. You can kind of get the sadness of the Winter Soldier going back to what he was, losing his getting his brainwashing and programming put back in. But it makes sense. I mean, and it's good action. I think it's good. I think it was good storytelling. I mean, again, this is probably one of my favorite episodes of this season, and I just think they did a good job with having the fun of it, but still staying kind of traditional to the characters in certain aspects. And I think it worked. It worked well, and I think, like I said, this has been one of the better episodes of What If for this season.
We were right about the voice acting. So Harbour did his character, Sebastian Stan did his character, Lawrence Fishburne did Bill Foster, America Ferrera actually did Ranger Morales, who we haven't talked about at all from the episode. But it was Piotr Michael did Dreykov. That's not the same guy that did Dreykov in Black Widow. Cliff Vandenheuvel did Obadiah Stane, the Rook. So, so they did have different voice actors for those characters. Cyber, what do you think, sir? What are your thoughts on the end of episode 3?
I just like, what Kyle said, it's a fitting end to a What If episode, just like, he said. Bucky going back and being brainwashed again is, kind of Bucky's story, unfortunately. And unlike in the, actual live action films, we've he's done that a little bit, but at least, by a certain point, he stops being manipulated by the time we get to Infinity War, when he goes to Wakanda and is getting the deprogram taken out of him. So it's very, that's kind of sad for him. But then, of course, we get Red Guardian getting kind of his way, like he said. And when he pops up with the Avengers, and it's supposed to be that round view of like an Avengers 1, it cracked me up. And he's the ham. He's the ham, like I said. He like right there in front of center going, ha ha, and you're just kind of like cracking up, going, oh God, like imagine him being a part of the actual first Avengers. And that would have been hilarious, I think, if they had like a live action forward, have him pop up at some point and like make a gag with him, like saying, yeah, you can be a part of it. And then like he starts helping out, and then all of a sudden, like, yeah, we don't need you. Yeah, something like that would be hilarious. But at the same time, it's like it's a fitting ending for him because he's such a showboat. And it just gives like that what if clause again, really its prominence going, what if this did happen, so once again, got to give credit to Jeffrey Wright for voicing as the Watcher went really well too throughout this episode, and it's a decent ending, a very solid episode.
Okay, wrap us up here, Johnny Fwent.
I gotta agree. It was not bad. Honestly, I did like how he ended up with the Avengers and all that stuff. I can only imagine what basically he was talking to Captain America about, because that he was probably trying to compare himself with him, considering that even in the movies they never actually met each other. So I thought it was pretty decent.
All right, I appreciate that, Johnny. What's up, Rathacon? What you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Dissecting the markets over there on X as usual. You guys want to just real quick? We'll do our ratings for the episode. I'll stick with you, Johnny. Give me a 1 through 10 on episode 3 of What If.
I give it a 6.
Okay, I'll give it a. I think I'll probably just copy you, but I'll give it a 6 as well. Maybe I'll give it a 6.5. Cyber?
I give it a 10.
Okay. That's a major difference. Kyle?
I'm going to say for this episode, I'm going to give it a 7.5.
Okay. Well, there you go. Those are pretty, a nice spread there with the ratings. So before we launch into, the immaculate what if how the duck got hitched, and the immaculate conception of the egg, who's seen Craven?
I haven't not seen it yet.
I haven't seen Craven
either.
Oh, okay. So just me and you, Cyber? Oh, man. Telling you guys, you're missing out. Craven was...
It's hard. It's hard to get motivated for it when you know it's the last thing Sony's going to be doing with this so-called Spider-Man villain verse, and I think it's just a matter of time before Sony just kind of gives in and just sells the Spider-Man rights fully back.
But it's actually not. It's not that bad. What is the word of the mouth? What is the word of mouth on it? Like
it's bad. It's bad. The word of mouth is bad on it.
Oh yeah, definitely bad. I didn't even bother because movie tickets are expensive, and I would have rather seen Sonic 3.
I mean, I will eventually see it because I love Aaron Taylor Johnson. I think it's a shame he's got pulled into this movie, but I'm a fan of his. I loved him in Bullet Train. I'm really hoping he's going to be the next James Bond. I just think with this movie, it's not, and I don't think it's any of the creators' fault. I think it's just DOA because it was delayed for so long, and at this point, Sony had already said they were killing the universe after this.
Yeah. The delays on that Batman film are crazy. They're going to kill that film by the time that the way that they keep delaying it. It's ridiculous to think that they're actually going to wait as long as they are to put out that second Pattinson Batman film is crazy. Okay, so it's got to be covered. I think I'm going to try to just split it into like 2 questions basically. Episode 4, what if how the duck got hitched? Okay. During Thor's party on Earth, Party Thor, Cyber loved that episode of What If. Howard the Duck, our favorite duck from the 80s, marries Darcy Lewis, and they have a baby that takes the form of an egg. They join the Grandmaster on his intergalactic cruise, but he takes the egg and attempts to cook it for breakfast before Yondu Udana steals it. As the couple gives chase, Nick Fury and Phil Coulson explain that because their child was born during a rare alignment of the 9 realms called the Convergence, it is destined for great things. It has become highly sought after by several factions. On Nowhere, Yondu delivers the egg to Caecilius, who kills Yondu and they brought Caecilius back, and attempts to use the egg as a host body for Dormammu. So I'll stop there. And then we'll wrap up on the other half of the episode. And I'll go to you first, Kyle. What are your thoughts on that first half of episode 4?
This episode is one of those it's just like one of those oddball what if comics. They just went absolutely bonkers with it. They decided, okay, we're going to take one of our most insane episodes from a prior season, continue it on. I mean, how the heck Howard Duck lands Leah Thompson and Kat Dennings in his creation lifetime is beyond me. It's silly. It's stupid silly. Marvel's trying to have some fun with it, and I get it, but it wasn't working for me. It was cool seeing Clark Gregg come back as Phil Coulson. I'm always down for that, but otherwise, they're taking the silly part of the James Gunn Marvel Cosmic Realm and turning it up to 1,000, and it's one of those things. It's great if you're looking to turn off your brain, but the fact Darcy laid an egg, it just, yeah.
Yeah, you'd think that you'd have to have like a C-section or something like that to make that work, you know?
I don't even want to know how the other aspects of that work.
No, I was very shocked by that whole laying of the egg thing. That really blew me away. I was like, are you really gonna do that? But okay. Did you have any other thoughts, Kyle?
Just again, the Marvel Cosmic side can be very fun, but it can also get incredibly silly, stupid, and that's what happens. That's what happened in this episode. They
brought some interesting fucking characters out of the woodwork from like across the span of the MCU in this one. You know, got to give him credit. Got to give him credit for that.
Yeah, no, I give him credit for that. Anytime you can get Michael Rooker involved, that makes me happy. But they swung for the bizarro fences, and it didn't quite work the way I think they were hoping it would.
Okay, Cyberneticshark, sir, what do you think?
All right, so this episode, or at least this section of the episode, has some good parts, has some good stuff, but for most part, it just kind of like, what the hell were you thinking? Kind of deal. Like I mentioned before, like how the hell Darcy laid an egg, I have no fucking clue, or how they even had sex to begin with. I mean, he's a duck, so he has a cloaca, so I have no fucking clue how that worked. But at the same time, it's like it's kind of funny at the same time as like, what the hell? But I think that, like I said, there's some good elements to it. Like everyone's mentioned, how all the different characters have come in, Yondu popping up, and having Mads Mikkelsen's character from Doctor Strange popping up was absolutely hilarious. I was kind of like going, why the hell did they have him pop up? I don't get that. And they have kind of all that kind of stuff happening with the, Jeff Goldblum's Grandmaster popping up. And the guy that did the voiceover, he did an okay job. It definitely wasn't Jeff Goldblum himself, which, sucked. I was like, why did they get him to voice it? I'm like, they should have been able to. He's not like that busy. I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, why? Like, they could get all these other people. Why can't they get him? But yeah, I think that having him pop up was kind of hilarious at the same time, and like him wanting the egg and everyone wanting the egg. It was, I felt like it almost like the egg was supposed to be like Adam from Guardians of the Galaxy that, we got in Guardians 3 eventually. It almost made me think of that a little bit, to an extent. And, overall, like I said, there was some goods, but for most part, it was pretty just like, so I think this section of the episode is there's some okays and there's some horribles. Other than that, there's really not much to say about it except for those great little cameos of the different characters that pop up, and that's pretty much it.
Okay, Mr. Fwent, you enjoyed this episode, so go ahead, sir.
So honestly, I thought this was a really good homage to the wacky what ifs of the 1960s, because if you go back and read those comics, they are just absolutely insane and absolutely crazy. And the one thing I liked about this was, have any of you guys ever read a Howard the Duck comic?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, his comics are absolutely crazy. Like, honestly, it's just, if you compare his comics to something like this, it's not out of the ordinary. It's just they decided just to go, instead of going with the MCU route where they had to stick to kind of some realism to a point, they just went full comic mode. And honestly, I kind of liked how they kind of put their own personality. The fact that they were singing I was made for loving you and all that stuff. It really felt that the writers just went with an idea. And just like I said, I love the fact that we had Yondu. I love the Grandmaster. I love that we got the Doctor Strange villain. I loved how we got other villains just for this one wacky idea. And everything played out. I mean, I think one of my favorite parts of this thing was just the chemistry between Howard the Duck and Darcy. It feels like it shouldn't have worked, but the chemistry between them was just hilarious.
Well, Nick Fury, they brought back Nick Fury too, which was really cool. You know, we haven't seen Nick Fury in a long time. Nick Fury really has never been in much What If that I can remember. You know, I don't remember there being many episodes where I remember Nick Fury popping up that much. So I was kind of shocked to see him and Coulson, you know, popping up in this episode. That was a nice. That was pretty cool. I enjoyed that. That was interesting. So where we end up with is, as I said, Yondu delivering the egg to Caecilius, who kills Yondu in an attempt to use the egg to host the body for Dormammu. S.H.I.E.L.D. attacks, intending to acquire the egg. Through the couple recovers it and seeks shelter from Loki on Jotunheim. However, Laufey, Malekith, Zeus pops up, and Thanos and his Black Order are also after the egg, and a chase ensues. As the couple is cornered, the egg suddenly glows gold, rises into the sky, and subdues the pursuers with golden energy. It hatches into a human-duck hybrid, which the parents name Birdie. Fury admits that the child should stay with her family, and they return home peacefully. That is the end. Kat Dennings did Darcy Lewis. Seth Green did Howard the Duck. Samuel Alf came back for Nick Fury. Tom Hiddleston did Loki. Clark Gregg did Coulson. Michael Rooker did Yondu. And then Brolin did Thanos. And everything else. Chris Hemsworth did Thor. So
did Matheson come back for his character?
I'm going through. Which character would that be?
The Doctor Strange one. I just can't remember his name.
Oh, let's see. Caecilius?
Yeah.
No, that's Gerald Butler. And not Gerald Butler, Jared Butler.
Yeah, Mads Mikkelsen is who played Caecilius and Doctor Strange.
Yeah, that's definitely not him. Laufey is the guy from Thor 2. He was voiced by Andrew Morgado. That's a different guy than Laufey was in Thor 2. And Darren DePaul did Zeus, so they didn't bring back what's his name to do Zeus.
Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe. I appreciate that, Johnny. Yeah, they didn't bring back Russell Crowe. I didn't really care. They could have not had Zeus pop up, and that really wouldn't have bothered me. But I'll go to you first on this last round, Johnny. Take us out here, you know, on your end, on what you think of that. Take your time on that end of the episode, how it all plays out, you know, that final half. Have at it.
Honestly, I thought it played out like a comic book because, again, you have so many different comic books out there that need you to take some type of like a ounce of reality out of there. Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe. Punisher kills the Marvel Universe. You have so many different situations, even on the DC side. I mean, you even have comics where Lois Lane turned black. Like you just have to like desuspend your belief. And during the entire episode of the entire later half of the episode, I just thought, you know what? We're just going to have everybody come for an egg for whatever. I think one of my favorite parts was when the Black Order came to rescue them because they had a Groupon. And then once they realized the egg was magical, they're like, all right, we need to get Thanos. And then Thanos was like, where's the stones? Are there stones? And then you just had this entire crowd. And then when they started singing the Kiss song, everything just went crazy. And I was like, this is basically a comic come to life. It's wacky. You're not supposed to take it seriously. You're not supposed to think about anything else. You're just supposed to sit back and just enjoy the ride. And I think the fact that at the end, you had Loki make up with his father, who basically was going to disown him and take away his trust fund. and just make up in the background. I think that was hilarious. I kept thinking to myself, so is Loki officially the godfather of Birdie at this point? Since that's what he thought he was originally going to be. I mean, like I said, I enjoyed it for just what it was, just a wacky comic book episode.
And that's fair. If you like that kind of lighthearted fare, with What If and with the MCU, then there's nothing wrong with that. Cyber, what do you think, sir? What are your thoughts on that second half of the episode?
So, I mean, I love that Tom Hiddleston popped up as Loki. That was great. Him being his normal frost giant self. I thought that was really fun and cool, kind of like with the Party Thor's episode in the season 2, I think it was. And I absolutely love that. I thought that was hilarious. And him kind of going, my brother from another mother from another son of a, was freaking hilarious. And I thought Tom Hiddleston just once again blew it out of the park with his voiceover work with this characterization of this version of Loki, and it was just freaking hilarious. And them like popping up going, yeah, we're just kind of looking for a hiding place, and he's kind of like, I mean, yeah, I can help you out there. I mean, you are through my brother from another mother and stuff like that. It cracked me the hell up. It was absolutely freaking hilarious. And then as we go through it and we kind of have that like climatic battle there, and all the people start showing up from across all the different films. Thanos popping back up was hilarious. Him saying, he's like, you guys found the stones, was absolutely hilarious too as well. And then Josh Brolin, voicing him again was great. But like I said, Mads Mikkelsen's character from Doctor Strange cracked me up because I would have never guessed him popping up in there. And I mean, I had nothing against it. It was kind of random, as we've all kind of said. And I think that, the ending definitely was probably the funniest part of the episode, and not too shabby. I mean, I think how they drew Darcy, I didn't feel it really gave Kate Dennings true justice for how she actually looks. I think she looked a little too tall versus Howard. I think she should have been a little shorter. And because she would be she wouldn't be as tall compared to Howard, I feel. And I think that Seth Green voicing Howard has been fun since he voiced him in that cameo starting back in the day. And he's been voicing him since. That was really done well. There's some great one-liners, I think, and I think that just the end battle sequence is just like so out there and crazy. As Johnny has mentioned, it's very similar to the Howard Duck comics, and I think that is always fun. To have it kind of crazy like that. It could be very enticing and everything like that, and just kind of be out there wacky. But I think the reason why it didn't play out as well in this is because I think the comics had better writers. I don't think the writers were very good on this episode of What If. I think they could have even gone even crazier with it, going in different directions, and it might have made it a little better. But overall, I think that the ending was okay. It had some shining moments, just like the first part. And overall, I think that, it had, like I said, had some good moments. But overall, I think it just was kind of a dud of an episode.
Okay, Kyle.
I agree with a lot of what Cyber said. I think that, the point of this being pulled from like an old What If comic, especially from the 60s original version of What If, is very spot on. But the writing was a little off, and you could feel it because it did feel like they were just throwing people in to throw people in. We have Josh Brolin for a couple minutes here. Let's get him to do something in Thanos' voice. Whatever. It kind of felt like they kind of lost what direction they were writing this for. And, maybe the hallucinogenics were kicking in the writer's room by the end of it, because it gets pretty out there. I mean, it's Howard the Duck. If you've ever gone back and read the old Steve Gerber original Howard the Duck stuff, it's out there. It's bizarro realm. And this does reflect it. But I think in a way the writers just didn't know what direct like this season. The writers just didn't know what direction they were going in, and it could have been so much better. I think they could have decided how much they wanted to play up seriousness and how much they wanted to put up the wacky on it, because they try to stay serious with a couple of characters, and then they get really, really wacky with other characters. and it just never felt like it found its groove. And I can ignore the logic leaps in an episode like this, but there was just something in the way this episode was written and how it was presented that just didn't quite hit the mark. And unlike Cyber, it came across at the end of the day feeling like a bit of a dud.
That's fair. Why don't you give me your rating on it, Kyle?
They got a lot of the great voice actors back. Seth Green has always had fun doing Howard the Duck, and you get Kat Dennings' voice in there as well. I'm going to give this a 4.5 out of 10.
Okay. And I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10. Johnny Fwatt?
Did Kyle go? I felt like he.
No, I'm here.
Okay. I'm going to give it I'm going to give it an 8.
Okay. Cyber?
I gave it a 3.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, there you go, guys. Thank you very much. Kyle, Johnny, Cyber, appreciate you. We're done. That's it for What If episodes 3 and 4 of season 3. We hope everybody out there enjoys our reviews of the episodes. We figured it would take an hour, and it took about exactly an hour. So
wait. Are you going to go break out in your Bollywood dance now, Jeff?
No, I'm not going to. No, I'm just always happy when when things project out like that, and then they actually happen.
No, sand person. He's gonna bust out a sand person.
No, I don't feel like putting on my costume tonight. I'm saving that for Andor season 2. Then I'll bust it out for Andor season 2. Which Kyle and Johnny, you're gonna have to come back for Andor season 2, baby.
Absolutely.
When it comes out, when we finally get a release date. I'm expecting you guys to show up to cover some Andor.
Well, it's probably after Daredevil because it's supposed to be in April.
Yeah, is that what they're saying?
Yeah, I had like April 22nd or something like that, I think.
Oh, they just dropped the teaser for April. That's going to be kind of hard because you're going to have to be balancing not only Andor but The Last of Us too.
Why is there no Andor season 2 trailer if it's coming out that close?
My guess is to build up the hype.
They don't really. I don't think they really need to put out too big of a trailer. I think a lot of people. Andor is one of the most anticipated shows of 2025.
Oh,
yep,
sure.
April 22nd.
Oh,
yep, April 22nd.
Yep.
That's the release date?
Yep.
Oh shit! Really? So it's actually going to be going on during Daredevil? Oh well, that's interesting.
Yeah, it might have a 2-week overlap or something like that because remember Daredevil's only like 12 or 13 episodes now.
Yeah, that's right. And they're going to have a split in between the season too, aren't they?
They might be doing that. Yeah,
that's what I thought. Yeah, so that's okay. We'll shuffle things around and make that work when it shows up when that pops up. I can't wait to do Andor. That actually makes me really excited to know that it's that close. That's awesome. I really enjoyed doing Andor. It was a lot of fun. Kyle, Johnny, you guys were both on our Andor coverage. Cyber, I know you enjoyed doing Andor. That was a really enjoyable show.
Yeah, Daredevil is a complete 18 episodes, but will be split into 2 9-episode halves.
I can live with that, honestly. 9 episodes each, I can live with that.
So 9 weeks will Daredevil be from March 4th.
Okay. That makes sense. Okay. Well, there you go. So we're done then. But what if for tonight? Guys, why don't we go ahead and plug out of here? Why don't I start off with Johnny Fuent? Johnny, I'm never sure what to pull up for you. I don't know, what exactly you want pulled up, but I got your podcast
Spotify will
up.
be. Yeah, that'll work. So, guys, I run the podcast Fuent Chat with Johnny Fuent, where I talk about video games, TV shows, comic books, and everything nerd media. I release an episode every other week. And it's definitely going to be good. This upcoming Sunday, I'm going to be talking about what anime I'm looking forward to in the winter lineup, because there are a few good animes out there that's actually continuations of season 2, but actually quite a few out there that are their own anime releasing. So definitely come check it out. I have so many episodes for you guys to take a look at from previous years, and join me for the premiere of season 4.
And check out his TikTok.
Oh yeah, well, TikTok is still around.
Yeah.
All right. So, Kyle, tell me what's going on over at Fandom Podcast Network, sir.
Oh, we have got a lot going on right now. We wrapped up a very busy end of the year. We've been doing a little bit of a James Cameron retrospective with the our Couch Potato Theater show, where as several of his films have come out on 4K. We just recorded for The Abyss. We just put out Aliens. We have Terminator out there as well. We've been covering Skeleton Crew with our Star Wars show, What a Piece of Junk, as far as and Culture Clash. We're gearing up to return to our Star Trek show after the first of the year when Section 31 comes out with the amazing Michelle Yeoh. We've got some fun things planned with our Time Warp show, where we look back at a year in movies. We're doing a couple different things. We're looking back at movies in the year 1990. So that's good. That's going to be a lot of fun. And we've got some fun Couch Potato Theater coming up. We are going to be paying tribute to Canon Films, all those great and crazy Jean-Claude Van Damme and Chuck Norris films. We're going to be talking about some of those.
I told Kevin I wish he would have let me know when you guys were going to do the Long Kiss Goodnight. I really would have enjoyed being on that show.
Yeah, that was kind of a last minute Christmas one to do. So it was put together on the quick fly. But we've got constant things going on there, from retro to talking about what's happening currently in pop culture. We have a lot of fun at the Fandom Podcast Network. You can visit our YouTube page, or if you want to listen to our podcast versions of our shows, just look up the Fandom Podcast Network on Apple, Spotify, or wherever else you get your podcast. We're everywhere these days, and we're just having a lot of fun talking about fandoms of here, now, and back then. And Johnny, I gotta say, the one anime I am looking forward to is season 2 of Kaiju number 8.
Definitely. I don't think that's a winter one, is it?
No, I think that's a summer one this year.
Yes, honestly, one anime that I'm looking forward to, of course, besides Dragon Ball Daima, is the Solo Leveling season 2. Honestly,
yeah,
I think
I've heard that's
really
good. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but I heard it was really good.
Johnny,
fantastic!
Johnny, when is the 4th season of Sword Art Online going to ever come out?
I honestly don't know. I dropped Sword Art Online a long time ago. It just honestly, I'm just
asking you because you seem like you're more in the know, than I would be. You know what I mean? So I'm just asking because season 3 was actually really great. Alicization, and they said they were going to go ahead and do another season, and then I haven't heard anything, and that was years ago.
Yeah, I honestly don't know. I know they just finished off the spinoff with the gun one. Honestly, if you're looking for a good anime, Fate's Fake Whispering Dawn is a great anime to get into. They had a movie that came out earlier last year, and the first episode just came out. Dubbed is fantastic. Definitely would recommend that.
Oh man, I still just watch Tokyo Ghoul and Naruto Shippuden and shit like that, bro.
Hey, maybe they'll do maybe they'll do an animation of the Naruto and TMNT one that came out earlier this year or last year.
I don't know. Boruto is still going on too, although I'm not very fond of Boruto.
Yeah, they keep pushing that back. They're doing a new Naruto thing of all things.
I heard that. I heard they're going to do some kind of new Naruto thing.
Yeah, at this point, I think they know that they have a bust with Boruto. I was reading some theories that maybe to kind of bring back fans, they'll all realize that it's been a ninjutsu by Madara, and everything that's happened in Boruto actually never happened at all.
Well, we'll have to see what happens. That's interesting. But I've heard about that new project, that new Naruto project. It sounds interesting. But Cyberneticshark, sir, wrap us up.
So if you enjoy me here on the podcast, the MCU'S Bleeding Edge, you can find my subtle content on YouTube if you like. You can find me under there doing some shit, some fun shit and some more shit and stuff like that. But anyways, you can find my most recent there. I just dropped my Superman trailer reaction. You can check that out on my Craven movie review, which I really great movie. As Mr. Jeff has mentioned, it's a really great movie. But anyways, if you enjoy the Superman trailer, check out my review of it to kind of tell you what I think about it, kind of what I thought about James Gunn taking over the DC studios and all that kind of good stuff. But of course, if you like that, you can check out my shorts too. My most recent is for the Nosferatu film and for Gladiator 2, A Complete Unknown, Mufasa the Lion King, and Sonic 3. All very great movies. I really enjoyed all of them. And Nosferatu was a blast. I love how much that they basically kept it pretty quote for quote how the original went from 1922. So I was really impressed by that Robert Eggers did that. So yeah, if you haven't seen Nosferatu yet, definitely check that out. Check out that little mini review. But I'll be having more stuff up for you guys soon. Some more trailers, some more movie reviews. I'll be having all four of those reviews up soon, along with my Nosferatu one. So keep your eye out for those and stuff like that. Also keep your eyes out for my Moana 2 review, which was a really great film too as well. And be having more stuff for you guys soon. So keep your eyes out, and hopefully probably the next month or so, I'll definitely be having a live soon. Still working out what I want to do.
Hey, so
I've heard I can
Cyber,
hit you up for Super Bowl tickets, Cyber.
You sure can.
hey, Cyber, curiosity. So, what did you think about his brother in Mufasa? I know that song has been going absolutely viral on everywhere else.
Oh, good grief. I mean, the whole fact that they have it where Scar is like a surrogate brother and stupid crap like that, I just thought that was the most stupidest fucking thing ever. You know, they decided to go that route. I was just like, are you kidding me? But overall, I enjoyed the film. I actually kind of liked it better than the remake that they did there, the live action reboot of it in 2019. I actually like the music in this one a little better, especially the last three songs. The first two I could care less about, but the later songs, when Mad Mikkelsen sings, and then the other two were okay. But overall, I thought it was kind of a stupid story at the same time as being kind of fun. It was still interesting, but definitely that song was not my favorite of them all.
Honestly, I was surprised. I kept thinking to myself watching the movie, is that Matt Mickelson? I was like, no. And then I kept hearing it and I saw the credits. I was like, I knew it was him. It was like Keith David. He was the father of Mufasa. As soon as I heard that voice, I was like, was that Keith David?
Can't miss it.
All right,
Yep.
so one last question. All right, so the 3 MCU films we got in 2025, which ones are going to cross the $1 billion mark? Cyber.
I think both Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four will still hit $1 billion. I'm not sure about Captain America 4. That one might make 800,000. But at this point, with how much it costs to make Cap 4, they'd have to make $1 billion to even cross, to even come even. I feel, especially with almost a $400 million budget. So, Thunderbolts, I definitely feel is going to hit it, and then I think Fantastic Four, even though a lot of people are worried about it, I still think it's going to hit $1 billion just because everyone's like, I love Pedro Pascal, I love Joseph Quinn, I love Vanessa Kirby. So yeah, you know, I think that it still will. They'll still be bankable movies. Doesn't mean they're a good movie, but I still think they'll make. Most of them will probably make $1 billion.
All right, Johnny.
I actually have to agree with Cyber. I think with a lot of the reshoots, they're really pushing Captain America. I mean, that marketing budget must be absolutely astronomical with how much they're pushing it every time. I remember I was watching Sonic 3 in 40X, and they had the trailer twice. And I was like, good God, they're really pushing it. So I honestly think that Fantastic Four and Thunderbolts may be the two films that pass the $1 billion mark. However, with Deadpool, with coming off the hype of Deadpool, people might already have in their mind, like, okay, you know what? Deadpool was fantastic. It reached $1 billion. So people may come to Captain America just because they're still off the hype of the last Deadpool movie.
Okay, well, I guess we'll have to see how much power that that hype is all coming off of Deadpool 3. Coming into Captain America 4, but that budget on Captain America 4 is steep altogether.
Yeah,
like
it is.
the amount of money they've spent so far altogether between the reshoots, the initial budget of the film, and then, like you said, the advertising budget too. It's got to be an astronomical amount. Like we're talking $500-600 million.
They'll make it all back on the popcorn bucket.
Yeah. Kyle.
I think the only one that has a legit shot of breaking $1 billion is Fantastic Four. And I think that's going to happen because I have a sneaking suspicion that there will be a stinger at the end of Fantastic Four that will have a certain Robert Downey Jr. in it. And I think that's going to get people to go see that movie in droves.
Do you think you think the appearance of Dr. Doom in the film, RDJ, Dr. Doom in the film, is going to push it over $1 billion?
I think so. I think people are so ready to see RDJ back, and they're so curious how they're going to pull this off. And I think Captain America and Thunderbolts are probably looking at somewhere between 700 to 800 million a piece, and Fantastic Four, if word of mouth, and if it has RDJ and a stinger, it will break $1 billion.
And those are still really good numbers. Let's be honest, regardless of Captain America's reshoots or budget situation or whatever, $700-800 million is a solid amount of money to make for that's a successful film.
Not on a $400 million budget.
Not on that budget, no. But I'm saying in general, in the past of the MCU, when we've had certain MCU films come out, when they've done $700-800 million, that's considered a successful box office haul.
Yeah, if it's $200 million budget, 100%.
Sure, obviously not with the Captain America 4 situation, which is probably why they're advertising the fuck out of it, because they're scared, But all right, folks, we're out of here. Thanks again to Kyle. Thanks again to Johnny Fuente. It was good to see you guys. Great to have you back again. Hopefully, we'll see you again soon, and it won't be too long before we have you back again. Cyber and I will be back on Friday for with Andres, the pop culture guy, for Justice League. The theatrical cut of Justice League. Can't wait. Never seen it before, so can't wait. I'm sure it'll be a blast. I've heard so many great things about it. Can't wait for the review, Cyber. God bless everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your week, and we'll see you later. Take care. Peace.
See ya.